story of a miracle where he put his hand into his coat and it comes out and his hand is white. His hand is white because he was black. The miracle was it showed his hand to be white. If he was white and his hand came out white, there would be no miracle. There would be nothing to show as a sign. So I'm saying all the children of Israel, David, Solomon, all of them were black. Solomon married a woman who was the queen of Sheba. And Josephus says she was the queen of Ethiopia and Egypt. Other historians say she was also the queen across the sea in Yemen, which is Midian. So in Yemen and Saudi Arabia was up Africa, was Ethiopia, right? She ruled from one side of the sea all the way to the other side. And she herself was also black and brown. So Midian is Yemen. But we see Yemen and Arabia today. And like I said, her queendom went all the way across the Red Sea. 1,500 years after this, after Moses, Joseph and Mary, two Israelites, fled to Egypt to hide from King Herod. In Egypt, if they were hiding and they looked anything other than the same complexion of the people living there, they would have been easily discovered. So from Joseph, he was hiding in Egypt with black and brown people. Then Moses also is living in this land, and he's living in Midian, the same complexion as those people, all the way down to Jesus, going to hide among the Egyptians, so he is the same complexion as those people there. So I'm saying all this just to let you know about real African history, real black history. So if we go all through all of this, we see here on this side that these people are black and brown. The children of Israel, right? From here is Midian. Those people are also black and brown. So that would mean their cousins, the Ishmaelites, are black and brown. Ishmael's mother was Hagar, who was an Egyptian woman. The Egyptians, black people, right? Ishmael married an Egyptian woman, right? His son name was Kedar. Kedar means dark skin. Those people were black or brown people. Let's see if I got a picture just to show you. So we have, I just showed you the Midian and Kedar. That's the name of one of Ishmael's sons. Kedar literally means dark skin. Let's see. This is the Bible dictionary, means dark skinned. He's the second son of Ishmael. Here's the Jewish virtual library. This is a nomadic tribe. It was a nomadic tribe and a tribe in Arabia, the Arabian desert. And here's another one, Hebrew, just defining what Kedar means. And if you see down here in bold, it says dark-skinned man. So these people here was also black or brown. All right? So let me say this. There was a man who was an Imam, the position that I hold in Yemen, about 500 years after the prophet died. And he was teaching in the Caspian area. See, I think I have a picture of that. Yeah. So Russia, you see Ukraine, all these places up here is above the equator where people started to get lighter and lighter. He said, anyone who says that the prophet was black should be killed. And this is for the Muslims here. I want y'all to listen to this. This is what the man said. He said, I want them, anybody who says Muhammad was black, you should kill him. That seems harsh. It seems odd to say, right? It says he was not black. There was another person who was saying it shows disbelief to say that he was black. These are strong words. Now I'm wondering, why was these words ever spoken? Why was it so prevalent? Why did it have to be said that he wasn't black? And if you say that, you're going to be killed. Because people were saying that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was black or brown. Now this is why this is important, especially for the Muslims, especially for me and especially for my son. When I was growing up, I thought Bilal was the only black person that I knew. My middle name is Bilal. So all I knew was Bilal. He was African. And I thought he was an African slave who received his freedom. And he called people to Islam. So I love Bilal. And everybody loved Bilal. We even named ourselves Bilalian. But I want to tell you all that everybody was there was black or brown already. The person that we see and we think he was a slave, he was a slave. But he was a slave out of warfare. But everybody else, all the people that we named, Uthman, Abu Bakr, Ali, everybody was black or brown. Everyone, right? The first Arabs, the pure Arabs, were black or brown. They started mixing when they started marrying and intermarriage with the people who were Byzantines, which was Romans, which was the Persians and the Turks. And I'll give you a couple of quotes just to let you know what I'm saying. It says, the vast region of West Asia, with its extensions up to the Nile and the Indus, was occupied by what may be called a blackish race with its local variations, like the Mediterranean and the Hamites. The race is characterized by blackish brown complexion. This is the Dravidian and the Negro African. And another quote in a book called The Arabs, it says, the original inhabitants of Arabia were not the familiar Arabs of our time, who was very much darker people. The proto-Negroid, proto meaning original, belt of mankind stretching across the Africa to Malay. It says, and they were dark-skinned people inhabiting the Arabian Peninsula. In the course of the two big migrations of fair-skinned people coming from the north is when their complexion started to change. And I could give you the listing of the 12 original tribes of Arabia, but this is what it says about them. It says the first people to speak Arabic was Arab al-Arabi, the true Arabs. The people that came after, the children of Ismael, are called Arab Mustariba. They learned Arabic and they settled in Arabia. The true Arabs were black, and the author of the most authenticated classic Arabic says, Aswad al-Juda means black skin, meaning the Khalis al-Arab, meaning the pure Arabs were dark-skinned people. It says, Al-Jazaz says the Arab prided themselves on dark skin, on black skin. So long before we were saying we were black and proud, they were saying they was black and proud thousands of years ago because they were black and proud. It says in another quote, to the Cushite race belongs the oldest and the purest Arab blood. Cush is Ethiopia, land of the burnt face. I'm just telling you all. These are the facts. The name Cush does not just belong to Africa, but it belongs to Ethiopia and Arabia. That's what another author quotes. So the prophet had a dream, and he saw black and white sheep following him. And the white sheep were so numerous that the black ones were not noticeable. Abu Bakr, one of the companions of the prophet, said, the black ones are the Arabs, and the white ones are the non-Arabs who converted to Islam after the black Arabs. So, why would we have a picture like this? The only person in the picture black is Bilal. As I said, white Arabs converted from Persia, from Rome after the Muslim conquest and Turkey. So the black contribution is not restricted to Bilal, not restricted to a slave. In fact, the most slaves in Arabia were white. Did y'all know that? I did not know this, so I had to retrain myself because all I knew was Bilal. And then I found out about some other slaves. Another African slave who was enslaved and freed themselves and was the first martyr, was a woman. But then I found out everybody was black. Everybody. What was happening, there was infighting, and what happens, it wasn't slavery like this, like chattel slavery that we have now, where people were kidnapped, brought to another country, and then forced to work, and then they were perpetually slaves. This was prisoners of war who were fighting one another. And when they fought one another, they made the other person work for them. So whoever lost had to do the work. Right? So it wasn't chattel slavery. Chattel slavery in America was the worst slavery ever. So never let anybody compare it to slavery anywhere else. I don't even like calling it slavery. It was prisoners of war. If you say prisoners of war, it makes much more sense. These people kidnapped us, brought us to another continent, and made us work perpetually because of our black skin. They didn't have, their fighting was not based on skin color. That's why I said the most enslaved people in Arabia during the time of the prophet were white. I want some of these things to resonate with you when you leave here. All right? Balaam, this man right here, his name was called dark skin, dark black. We all know he's Ethiopian. I mean, he's Ethiopian. He is the same complexion as Ali, which is the cousin of the prophet. The same complexion of his father, Abu Talib. Of all these people are dark skinned. The Quraysh people was black. The Hishamites that he came from were black. They prided themselves on dark skin. We don't know this. I don't know why we don't know this, but I want to make sure that we know this moving forward. The prophet also says, when he was talking about complexion, when they talk about white people, if you read about white people, they're not talking about people who have white skin. White meant that they were, they had good character. So you could be a dark-skinned person and they would call you white. They call white people red people. So that's when the prophet said he came for the black people and for the red people. He came for everybody. But when he said black, he was talking about himself and his people because they were black. And he came for the red people. So everybody, whatever the complexion is in between those. So when we hear the last sermon of the prophet, it says that a white is not superior to a black and a black is not superior to a white. He does not say white, he says red, because he's talking about when white people were called red people. They were not called white. All right, let me see if I can get down to the end of this, because I want to end this. People at least understanding what I'm saying here. The prophet was called, the complexion they said was asmar, which means light brown. There are other narrations that said he was white. Others that said he was red. But the people that he came from and the people around there, let me show you again the proximity of Africa to Arabia. And let me show you, this is highlighting the equator and the sun hitting all those people there. All those people this is hit by were dark-skinned people. So if they were indigenous to that land, then they were dark-skinned people. And here's one other one, just to explain what I am saying here. The middle region here is the sun hitting those people in the middle of the planet. And as you see here, this is indicative of complexion. The people that are closer to the middle are darker, and the further they got from the equator, the lighter and the lighter they got. So I'm saying all this to say everybody in the Bible, everybody in the Quran, except for the people that were Romans and Persians, was black or brown. Now this is important because, I think it's important because God knew that black and brown people would be subjugated, would be looked down upon. And at some point we would find the truth. In the Quran it says the truth can never be extinguished, no matter how much you try. So no matter how much it has been covered, the truth is clear. And I want you all to notice, I want you all to leave here and be confident in what I am saying here. Everybody in this Quran is black or brown, except for the Romans, except for the Persians, except for the Turks. And the people that are inhabiting that place married the people that were living on that land, and then they became lighter into the complexion that they are now. So we should never, ever, ever feel inferior about anything ever, because everybody that names himself Muhammad or David or Solomon or whatever is naming themselves after a black person. I think that's it.
You using this?
Yeah. And you need this? You need this? I got you.
Okay, I'm gonna let them get set up first.
Okay.
You got using the dry erase board? Just do we want to remove this for right now?
He doesn't need it? Yeah, yeah. This is definitely. Yeah, this is just in the
Sit down on it. Are y'all set up? Oh, okay. Okay. So, recitation.
Say again?
Turn into a family, all right, nice.
I have it. Hold on one second.
Okay. All
I don't know. I'm gonna see the Wi-Fi. I got it.
Assalamu alaikum. We're going to keep moving forward. We stay with the universality of blackness and the history. So it turned out it was supposed to. I thought it was just Brother Raven, but we got a family affair here now. So first we're going to have his son Nesta do a recitation from the Quran. Then his wife is going to do some poetry, and then Brother Raven is going to present on the connection of Trinidad on civil rights and the Indian-African connection. So stay right now on the theme of the universality of black history that we're speaking of today. So let's go first, and then we'll bring your Umi up.
Hold on one second. I gotta send something real quick so I can get this recorded.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I record this.
Set up the microphone.
It's okay, buddy. As soon as the